Welcome to the Daughters of the Road podcast. In this space, we envision cultivating a community that inspires, empowers, and supports women in motorsports culture.
Everyone has a propensity for greatness, and really I think that just takes passion to fuel it. And if we can be that source of inspiration for them finding their passion, then I think we really have done our job in elevating the industry as a whole.
We seek to engage in lifelong adventure, create perpetual bonds between sisters, and really hone in the skills necessary for navigation throughout life.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Brandy.
And we are
Daughters of the Road.
So we're so pumped for today's episode because it's our first venture outward into the motorsports community in general. That was the whole vision with the Daughters of the Road podcast. We wanted to hit every single area of motorsports we can with women that are making waves. And this is our first one, so we are branching into the car and truck world and beyond with Sheri Goldstrom. She's the heart and management of Nostalgia Street Rods, which is a multi-use space. She has basically a speed shop, several properties that she leases out, 30,000 square feet or more of hot rod museum, and it is spectacular, really immaculate, and we had the beautiful opportunity to explore that, and we'll tell you more about that. But while her parents certainly fostered this passion for preserving history in cars and trucks and collectibles in general, Sheri has her own story about how she got into semi-trucks, and we'll get into that as well. She's about 5 feet tall, so this is very impressive. She learned how to drive semi-trucks, and she was working in demolition, hauling scraps for local casinos and such. So, yeah, tell us more about that, Brandy.
Yeah, most recently, Sheri dived into the world of race car driving. 2 years ago, she decided to give the Nostalgia Street Rod Outlaw Factory Stock Series a try. In the series, she has already accumulated a win at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, received the 2022 Sportsmanship Award, and ended up fourth in points in her 2023 season. Sheri, you're such a force to be reckoned with, and we're so excited to have you here on the podcast today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So first off, we want to say thank you again for touring, giving us a special personal tour too of the museum. It was really incredible, and there was a lot of cars, trucks, and beyond that showcases local Las Vegas history, which was also really special to us.
Yeah.
How did the idea to curate this museum actually come about?
Well, my parents collected for many years, and I just kept finding all this stuff they were collecting, and I wanted to display it in some form or manner so that I could show my children and my grandchildren and the world what exactly they thought was cool to collect. So I started in 2009 and built the first museum. We actually did it for my mom and dad's friend's anniversary party. And so when I decorated it after I got it all done, my dad liked it. So then we just continued on. And it's just it's just a walk down history lane is really what it amounts to.
Yeah, seriously. It was super local Las Vegas gym, I feel like. And I really love that, like I said, it doesn't just hit the hot rod museum. It is called that, or street rod museum, but it's beyond. You're seeing old memorabilia from Las Vegas. You're seeing even your favorite baseball players, balls that they've used, signed, autographed, their jerseys. You're seeing matchboxes that her dad collected over the years, a whole trunk of them. It's super special, not only to her family, but to, I feel like, anybody that would walk through there.
Anybody that's a history buff, there's so much in there. There's so much to see. It was incredible.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about it is that, I don't want my grandchildren or my children to ever forget where we come from, because for me, it is all about where you come from. And I look back to my grandparents and my great grandparents, and I don't want anybody to ever forget history, because I think we're doing that a lot in today's world, and our kids are especially. So I think it's cool when you have a young kid that walks in and they're like, "What's that roll telephone? What the heck was that?" And you get to explain the story, or the old typewriters.
Oh yeah.
It's just kind of a cool thing for me. So
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I bet a kid would actually look at one of those telephones that you like dial like this and be like, "What's that?" So like going in there and seeing like even older than that, it's amazing.
Like, is that a calculator?
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and I mean it's so true because kids nowadays they're so used to like easy consumption and it's all about what's trendy. Like I'm going to do this trendy dance on TikTok. Like that's all they're focused on.
Yeah.
So like being able to step into a place like that, it kind of takes you outside of your comfort zone and it also brings you into a world that's existed far beyond you and puts it into perspective. So I love that. I love that you're preserving history beyond just, what we've got going on in recent years too. So what are some of your favorite things in the museum? That's probably a hard one.
Yeah, it is really hard to. Probably one of the coolest things that I like to talk about is the Thomas Edison check from 1928.
Insane.
It's really cool just to see that. It was $952.07. So back then, that was like huge money.
Gold.
Yeah, it was. And there's just so many different things in there that are very cool. The old typewriter from 1860. Yeah. I mean, who could have ever? I don't even know how to operate it, let alone look at it and think I had to type a letter back then.
Right.
But I think it's really cool. Just there's so many different cool things in there.
You know what's cool about that? When I think about people using very mechanical things every day in their everyday life, is that they also had to be able to fix that. Because if you think back then, like, yeah, $952 was a lot. Like, taking it to somebody to fix it when that's something you use on the routine,
Right.
That's kind of hard to fathom. So I imagine that people back then were able to be self-sufficient and actually work on their stuff, which is, pretty admirable because, again, in today's society, we don't really do that much.
Instant gratification. I just take it down to the local store and have them fix it for me, and then I'll be back in a week to pick it up.
Yeah. We're a very convenient society, but that's cool to look back on that stuff and be like, that was real.
Yeah, it is cool.
And it wasn't like in such far-fetched history, though. Like, that's literally, 100 to 200 years ago. That's a couple generations,
Yeah, it's not very far, really. When you really look at it like that, it's not.
Yeah, yeah. What about your favorite cars?
Well, probably my mom's 49 Chevy Fastback is one of my favorite. The 30 Ford Lincoln, also of my dad's, the Ford. Probably those two are my favorite, probably because they have a lot of meaning.
Yeah.
And my mom loved the Chevys. My dad loved the Fords. So
that's funny.
I like both.
The family feud.
My dad doesn't quite understand that, but I like them both.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, you said your mom did most of the buying for the vehicles.
Oh yeah, she did. That's how the whole thing got started. My mom, when they became successful, my mom bought my dad his first car.
Oh my gosh.
And like for Christmas or his birthday or something. It was a 40 Ford, I believe. And then she put the title in her name so he couldn't sell it. And so then
boss moves.
Atta girl.
She did it to every car. Because when she passed away,
that's a Brandy move.
we had so many titles to change over. I was literally like, "Are you serious? Are you serious?"
I mean, it makes it easier for the bookkeeping, especially if you're the one that's doing it. So I agree. But I mean, you don't plan on leaving a person, right? So it's like,
Well, she how guys are. They like to trade up and do different things. I mean, us girls do too. But she's like, "Oh no, you're not trading this in. I'm just going to keep it. And
right.
you want to buy something else? Go ahead."
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm going to start using that move on Dustin. So my fiance, I'm the one that can always go get all the titles done for anything. So all of our titles are in my name. And I'm going to start telling him no. Because usually I'll be like, okay, trade up. Here you go. Here's the title. Now I'm going to start saying no.
Hey, I mean, you got to make smart moves, right?
That's how the collection really got going. I mean, it's exactly how she always wanted to keep everything. And so we've kept everything. Trust me.
Seriously, there's like 6 different buildings we went into?
It was 5.
5? And
yes.
they're pretty dang massive. So that was really, really cool. I couldn't imagine, like, if you consolidated all that stuff into one space, like, you'd have to have
huge.
A Kmart.
Yeah. You guys would definitely need a Walmart, Kmart, like something, Home Depot.
Well, and the sad thing is that's only 60% of their collection. So that
Crazy.
I have so much more I could put out, and someday I will. Someday when I get more space.
Yeah. So is that the plan moving forward? Is to find more space and then build that up?
It'll just probably be later in life when, we have tenants now and they have very successful businesses. But someday I'd like to take the whole front and move out my tenants and build a bigger museum. But right now that's not in the cards at all.
Yeah.
So just someday.
That's awesome. And there's also a lot of like land speed cars that your dad raced, correct?
And my dad raced back in the day, but then he just raced at the drag strip here, and with all his buddies on the pavement, and we have a land speed car, but that's really it about the racing. We've always been real big fans of it.
Yeah. So did you grow up going to the races as well?
I did. I went to the stock car races and stuff like that, when I was little, but then we go to a lot of the drag races. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I love that going to like car races, especially. It's very much a family event. Like you can see a ton of kids there and they are just having the time of their life. And I love that because it is, you're pretty sedentary. You hang out and either you're sitting at your seat or you're going to the concession stand. But if you're sitting in your seat and you're still having fun, like that's a plus for, these kids that are kind of hard to manage.
Kids
Very
are
true.
We don't have any, but we see people with them.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my gosh, that would be a handful.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Yeah.
Some kids are like that.
Yeah. But I love that because I went to go see Sheri race and it was so fun. I couldn't believe it. The stands were completely packed. And I'm like, man, like going to the AFT races, we really strive for packed stands, but it is hard. It's hard to sell out an event. So I was like, dang, this is local to Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. And there are so many people out here supporting. And I thought that was so cool that there's still a lot of spirit for the racing world.
Yeah, I wish there is usually a lot of spirit out there, but I hope that the bull ring keeps building itself up because it is a fun thing to do. And it is very family orientated. And, it is great to see those stands packed. And to see all the kids out there hooping and hollering, it's a fun thing. So
yeah, I love that. So you're especially interested in semi trucks. We saw there was a fleet of them outside. What inspired that, and what makes them fun to drive?
Well, my dad being in the demo business all those years, I learned how to drive when I could have a license for it, and my husband taught me how to drive back then. And the cool thing is my truck that I have now that is my show truck. It is the same truck I learned to drive on. And it actually was my brother's truck.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it had twin sticks back then when I drove it. I learned to drive in 3 weeks. And, it's what I would haul demolition to the dumps and places in. And then as the years went on, I moved up, and then that truck just sat around and never moved for many, many years. And then my dad redid it for me for my 50th birthday. So
oh my God.
It was really nice. So, and I use it as my hot rod. It's actually my hot rod.
Oh my God. So what truck is that?
It's I don't know if it's being worked on right now. So it was over in the other yards. So I don't know if you saw it or not, but it's a 59 Peterbilt.
That's so awesome.
And when you say dual sticks, what do the dual sticks do? Is it transmission?
It's the twin sticks. It had a set of brownies. It had brownies, and so it's 2 sticks that instead of a 13 speed, it is 2 sticks, and so you have an over and an under. But we switched it out. I wish we would have left it in there because not many girls know how to drive twin sticks. So
yeah,
that's crazy.
Oh yeah. So I've gone and creeped on like different little reels of women that have been learning the twin sticks. So stinking cool. There's a lot of like mind muscle connection there.
Yeah, there is.
Oh man, that sounds difficult.
Oh yeah. Already driving a standard is kind of a lost art in today's society. Mm-hmm. I learned that because I made myself learn that because I wanted a specific car when I was in high school, a little Audi TT. But Yeah, so I could not learn with my dad. He kept yelling at me. It was hilarious. Like he would not, like he was like, Kristen, you don't stall out. Keep going, more gas. Stop. And then it was just like so stressful. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Stop this. And then I went and rode again with some of my friends that were already car guys. And I ended up learning in like a couple days. And I was like, all right, I can do this. Like at first I thought it was a lost cause because, you know, I was like, my dad is just straight yelling at me. I can't learn this way. So, but then you put on, you know, how many gears was it?
13.
13. Like that's a lot of thinking,
That's
a lot of
insane.
listening, a lot of feel. Yeah.
Oh, it's
I
a lot
mean-
of fun.
Yeah.
I made myself learn too when I was 15. My cousin had a F-150 and it was stick. And I was like, let me drive your truck. He's like, Brandy, you don't even know how to drive. I'm like, yes, I do. I got in there and I just started, like, he was like, okay, this is what you need to do. And then I just started doing it.
That's
It was-
awesome.
I grasped it pretty quick.
I think that's an important fact. We made both of our daughters, all three of them actually, we made them drive stick shifts.
Yeah.
Because they got to know.
Yes.
And we would just turn them loose and
Yeah.
learn it.
Yeah. Well,
Good luck.
Yeah. It's crazy because it's so rare to find standards now in new cars.
Yeah.
I was pretty lucky because the one car or the one Jeep that I wanted, the Mojave special, like especially, was a standard, and it was like everything that I wanted, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get the standard, and then I ended up learning how to off-road with it and everything. It was very difficult, but very fun experience, and I thought that was cool that it was available in a standard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of the faster cars obviously are still
You get that option.
you
but
still get that option, or they've got like paddle, but yeah, I think that's a super important thing.
I did that with my stepson too. Whenever I was married, my stepson, his first car was my Mustang, and I was like, "You got to learn how to drive like this." And then he got it. He crashed and totaled that car.
Oh,
no! But still, it was cool, and I was glad that I made him do it too, and then made him take the riding academy class too to prepare him for the streets of Las Vegas.
Oh
And
yeah.
he does good now, from what I understand.
Yeah. I'd imagine driving semi trucks is kind of like the same practice of awareness as a motorcycle, because I mean it's kind of the opposite problem where you're very small on a motorcycle and you have to be weary of that. You're very big in a semi truck and you have to be weary of that.
Yeah, and the public does not respect those. So it's very important to watch what you're doing when you're driving a semi, because people just cut out in front of you, and it takes a minute to get those things stopped,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
when you're loaded.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like one of the first things I always tell the girls when we're getting ready to get on the highway for new riders. I always tell them, hey, like, remember those semi trucks, they cannot stop. Like,
Yeah.
just assume that they're not going to have any braking power, because if traffic stops, you need to get out of their way. Like, just move away, give them space, because they don't have proper, I mean, they can't. There's no way you can stop a semi truck
Oh, you
on a
can't.
dime.
No, you can't.
There's no way. So
Yeah.
trying to make people aware of that is huge.
It's big.
Yeah, absolutely. What advice would you give someone interested into getting into something like demolition?
Well, probably the only advice I would say is, like, I think what made my dad one of the best demo contractors here for many years was he studied the buildings, he studied how they were built and how they were going to come down. And he was one of the fastest here. He could take and put a whole house in one of our trailers. He just had an art at it, and he had a special way he did it. But demolition is such a big thing now, going down with the old, building the new. I guess that would be my only advice for that is you got to know how the building went together so you know how to tear it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then anything specific to hauling or driving?
No, just pay attention.
Pay attention. I mean, that's huge. That's
Pay
super
attention.
huge. Yeah, exactly. Just because, like, I mean, the road hazard that we've already talked about, and then just being super aware, especially in a city like Las Vegas.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't drive a truck today every day.
Yeah.
Like my husband just retired. I'm so glad he retired. It's just crazy out there. And it's the stress of the traffic, the stress of all that, I don't envy that, but I'll drive it just to a show or something and have a little fun that way. But
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've done your time, so that's awesome. But yeah, today, I mean, it is. Yeah, I was driving home from class last night, and it was. I was on the 15, and that there's a lot of construction going on, so people are just like haywire already, but I'm just happy along my own way in a single lane. This guy comes right over, literally like on top of me, and just would not stop. And I was like, thank goodness. I like turned my head, see if anybody's and I had to literally like, if somebody was coming up fast on the left side, I would have absolutely just like flipped everybody because I'm in this truck. So I'm like, I was like, what's happening? Like, is he actually like, how can you not see my truck? I don't know, but people just aren't paying attention.
No, they're not.
At all. Oh my God. But anyway, so your latest adventure has been diving into the world of racing cars. So you're saying you're not going to drive a big truck, but you're going to go race a car.
Go fast.
Yeah, go fast. How
Yeah.
did that come about?
Well, my good friend Chris Klein, he got me introduced to racing. He's a racer himself, and I don't know, one day we were just talking. He's like, I asked him, do you think I could do that? And he's like, yeah, I think you could really do it. And I think you'd be good at it. And I'm like, oh. So we ended up going and looking at a car and buying it. And that's how it all began.
That's awesome. Would you say it was an impulsive decision, or would you say like, yeah, you've already had this in you, you wanted to do it for a long time and you finally acted on it?
No, I mean, I've always liked to go fast. I've rode motorcycles. I've done all kinds of crazy things, in my life. And, drove my cars fast on the pavement. And just, I don't know, it was probably an impulse thing, but I had fun doing it. So,
Yeah. So it's been 2 years, correct?
yeah.
That's
Well, it's been probably a little over 2 years now, but yeah.
Yeah, so she is at the bull ring racing in Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Let me get my mind right. And it's crazy because would you say it's more of a short track?
It is a short track.
Yeah, so it's crazy to see a ton of cars going at it like side by side. They're like literally like bumper on bumper. It's insane. Like I don't know. That stresses me. I'm like, okay, so we're talking about Las Vegas traffic. Put them in the bull ring. Like, that's real stress.
Yeah, it's pretty stressful sometimes. Believe me, especially racing all those guys. It's very stressful.
Oh, yeah. But you do it so well. Like, it was crazy because I was, like, glued on you. I'm like, oh, my God. Like, this is the craziest thing because I've seen car racing, but like to like see somebody like Sheri, I mean, you think like, yeah, she's very small, very petite, and just like very reserved, and then you see her just go out there and crazy, like just going at it with all these other guys. It's really, really fun.
It's fun for sure.
Yeah.
It's been quite an adventure at times, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Are you still racing the same car that you started racing?
No, I'm not. I actually totaled my car that I was racing to begin with.
Oh
I've
my
been in a
gosh.
couple bad wrecks. And it's just part of the game. I mean, we had to totally get a new car, and then I got in a wreck in that car, and then we had to put a new front end on it because I bent it up so bad. But it's been a lot of fun. And scary at times.
Oh, yeah.
Very scary at times.
I mean, to completely total a car and then come back right after, like, that's kind of crazy.
Oh, no, it took a year for me to go back because the first wreck I got hurt. And, I didn't get hurt bad, but I got shook up and hurt and wasn't sure if I wanted to do it again. And then, of course, I was like, just like when you fall off a bike or fall off a horse, you got to get right back on.
Yes.
So I got back on, and it's been fun. It's probably been one of the best things I've done, actually.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
On top of your truck driving, though, because you love that. You can tell the passion and love you have for that when you talk about it.
I do. I love truck driving, but I also love racing. It's kind of fun because you can get your aggressions out. If you've had a bad day at work or something, it's just you in there and your team, and it's fun racing all the guys. Actually,
Yeah.
I actually love my class because it's brutal.
Yeah.
My
no
class
kidding.
is one of the brutalest classes out there.
I mean, you think outlaw, like you're already like,
oh yeah.
all right, that sounds gnarly.
Some of them are pretty crazy, but it's fun.
Oh my gosh.
How
I
fast
couldn't
do you guys
imagine.
go?
Probably, I don't know, 60, 70 maybe but
On a short track.
It just depends, I don't, sometimes you can't even get up there. So
Yeah.
you're battling and you're bumping and we're always getting in trouble at the track. Our whole class is, because we're beating each other up.
Yeah,
It's
seriously.
like bumper cars in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
worse than bumper cars sometimes, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we ask how the accident happened?
Well, in a nutshell, I was learning to drive, and
Yeah.
I wasn't probably paying attention like I should. That's been a real chore for me to learn to be the best driver I can possibly be. And my coach is a very good driver.
Yeah.
And it's just a challenge, I can't really specifically say why I wrecked other than I probably wasn't driving the best I could possibly drive. And, when you're in the bumper car situation and the guys are brutal,
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not upset. I'm upset at myself more than anybody. Even if somebody did wreck me, it's all about, you're the one in the operation of the car.
Yeah.
Nobody but yourself. So
Did you do any flips or
No.
do you remember anything?
just hitting the wall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But
Insane.
it was insane.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I mean, if you're going to race, you're going to have the risk of that. But I have the best safety gear. I have my, the kid that's taught me how to race, he's totally is 100% about safety, and he makes sure I'm safe. And I'm like a sister to him, so he would never let anything happen to me,
Yeah.
He's been very good to me, so.
I love that.
He's the brother that I've lost, because I lost both my brothers when I was young, so
Oh my gosh.
he
I'm
kind of
so
took
sorry.
over that space for me, which has really been wonderful.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's amazing when people that are close to you just literally become like family.
Yeah,
Like and they're looking out for your best interest and, always celebrating your wins and then being there for your losses and not like harping on it, but like coaching you through it. And,
Yeah.
you're able to grow from that together, which is
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. That's awesome. So take us through the experience of actually getting in your car and racing. Like, what is that feeling? How many stimulus things are going on? Like, you have a spotter talking to you, correct?
yeah, I do.
Oh my God.
That's a lot going on.
I wouldn't race if I didn't have a spotter, I'll tell you, until I became more knowledgeable about this or more, or had many more laps under my belt, because to me, it's safety. And from the minute you sit in that car, like the anxiety and just the adrenaline rush, it's crazy. So many things run through my mind. I'm always, you're just a nervous wreck sometimes.
Yeah.
It's getting easier for me. Like before, I used to be so nervous sitting there in line, and I'd have to have somebody standing outside my window just so I could calm down or talk to them.
Yeah.
And now it's better. It gets better as the more time goes on, but it's just nuts, and the adrenaline is crazy, but it's so awesome to get on that track and to be, there's another girl that races with me, and it's really cool, but it's really cool to be the oldest woman in my class,
That's
and
amazing.
to be racing against all these young guys. And there's, I feel like we all have respect for each other.
Yeah.
We try to. And so it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Well-
And to go on that point, being the oldest, not only are you the oldest woman or are you the oldest person in this race series?
No, there's people that are older than me racing, ladies.
Wow.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's cool because it speaks to your resilience, because it was like 110 degrees, not even gonna lie, at this bull ring. Like, and it is hot. The sun is beating down on you. There's a lot of people. You're talking to everybody. And then on top of that, she has to get in her fire suit and get in this car that's been baking in the sun and then go at it. Like, that's a lot of
It
mental
is.
fortitude.
It is. And sometimes I think to myself, why in the heck am I doing this? But, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just an experience.
Yeah.
If I can, I want to experience whatever I can in my lifetime. And,
Right.
I'm doing a documentary right now that I want my grandkids to be able to have so that they'll have something to remember me by someday. And
I love that.
yeah, it's
That's
one of
amazing.
the one of the documentaries is the part about me racing and just doing crazy things.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. And I love that especially because, like, I had, for example, a woman come up to me the other day when I was at the gym and I was in the parking lot because I rode my bike there. And she comes up to me and she's like, oh my gosh, like, it's so cool that you're riding here. And then she said, I've always wanted to ride, but now I feel too old to even start. And I was like, that's not true.
Nope.
Not true. I see a lot of older women going through the riding academy course and going on to buy motorcycles, and that extends to every area of motorsports. I mean, it's crazy because I was looking up statistics about women in motorsports in general, and like the buying power that women have over men and the decisions they make in their family as well is very, very evident. And it extends not only to motorcycles, it extends to boating. Like people that are buying boats, people that are buying RVs, off-road trucks. Like the women crowd is growing, and it's not gonna be your 16-year-old getting her driver's license for the first time. No, it's gonna be people that are like 40 years old wanting to adventure and actually live life and do something new for themselves. And I love that.
Yeah, you're never too old to start something. Ever.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you want to do it, do it.
Heck yes.
Yeah, don't let anything hold you back is what my thing is.
Yeah.
I love it. I laugh too because my grandkids all call me Nana. And sometimes just for me to get in my mental head, if I pass a guy in the truck, I'll be like, this Nana just passed your ass.
I love that.
Just to get my head in there straight, you know. I make jokes out of it. I'm always just laughing at myself in there.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, that's the crazy thing to me is that, like, okay, like I said this a little bit ago, is like you've got a spotter in your ear, and then you've got a whole bunch of dudes like coming after you or like right beside you or right on your ass, and it's like, how are you in control of your thought process throughout all this? Because you're trying to steer, you're trying to do everything at once, and you got somebody in your ear. I think that would be the toughest thing for me, is somebody trying to talk to me through this. But you said it's like the easier part, right?
Well, it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
Because when I don't do what he says, he gets really mad at me.
And then how do you deal with that? Like,
well, you just got to deal with it. I mean, I just like, sometimes it's really difficult, and he and I fight like brother and sister. It's really quite funny, but you know, he sees things I don't see.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just that to me is the most safety of it. I'm trying to actually listen to everything he's telling me. And if I react on the time that he tells me to do it, then I actually can be the best person I can possibly be. But, you know, it's just a learning experience. It is very, very difficult to drive, have a spotter, listen, try to, you know, and to be all focused. Some days my head isn't in it. Some days my head is in it well, you know. It's just all about, I guess, actually what's going on in the moment.
Yes. Yes.
Do you
exactly.
practice? Do you guys ever have to go out and do practice?
Yes, and I do practice. But actually I do better when I practice with the boys, you know. It just, to me, it makes me a better person to drive and practice with the boys. I want to be better. So, you know, a lot of them have won many championships, and to me, I love the challenge. To me, that's the coolest thing, getting out there, because I learn things from them too, you know. Some of them are very good drivers.
Yeah.
You know, most of them are. But it's just really interesting to follow them or to try to do better than them, you know, because it makes me a better person.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I've learned a lot from a lot of those guys out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that extends into life. I mean, it spills over on being a beginner at things, really taking in all that you can, helpful resources, you know, being able to hone into a moment and be like, okay, my focus is here. It doesn't matter what stresses are happening in my business. It doesn't matter what my kids are doing. Like, you can just hone into that moment and be like, I'm here. I'm 100% in. And it really, like, I don't know, just zones you into something. And I think that's kind of like what we've said before on podcasts about motorcycles in general, is like, you have to be in the moment and you have to be making sure that you're completely in, because otherwise you can let any sort of accidents, distractions, anything happen, and that's when it becomes dangerous.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So do you also take part in the building and repair process of your cars?
No, I don't. No, I haven't. I mean, I'm there, but you know, my goal, actually, my focus has been learning how to drive and be a better driver.
Yeah.
You know, not going to say I wouldn't love to, you know, I've been around my car. I've done things with him to my car, but my focus has been mastering driving.
Yes.
That has been my focus this last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like as you grow and get to learn your car more, I think it'll just all kind of intertwine eventually,
Yeah,
where
it
you're
will.
like, oh, I understand why we switched this out, or like,
Yeah.
that then you can just be better all around.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. What advice would you give to people that are like wanting to get into racing?
Oh, I would say definitely do it. I mean, it's probably one of the most coolest things I've ever done. It really is, and especially at my age, um, it's just fun. It's just a whole different world out there. It really is fun to drive on the track and compete against people, and especially when they're mostly guys. To me, that's the biggest challenge ever.
Yeah.
And here again, just like in the trucking world, it used to be where you were doing a man's job, and so I wanted to do it better than a man.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of in a man's world in the racing industry also, and it just makes you be a better person in
Right.
general.
Right.
You always want to better yourself. So
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where it becomes like there's no defining factor of man versus female. It's just
We're all
let's-
drivers. We're all riders.
yeah.
yes,
It
exactly.
becomes an even playing field, and you're just in there.
It is.
Who's better? Who's more focused today? Who's got their best package today? Like it's, yeah, I love that. I love
do
that.
too.
Mhm.
Yeah, being defined. I have a question. Is there any opportunities for people who want to experience something like that? Do you know in Vegas if there's any like experience cars that you're able to get in there and drive?
Well, there is. There's all those different places out there. There's Speed Vegas if you want to get in and drive a car like that. There's the Richard Petty Driving School. As far as the bull ring goes, I'm sure TJ Clark, who runs the bull ring, he does beginner classes for the skid plate cars.
Oh, no way.
Which I think is very cool, and he will, get you in there and teach you how to do that. And I think if you want to start, that's a good place to start. My friend Chris wanted me to do skid plates, and I was just like, no.
They're so fun. Oh
What
my
is
God.
a skid plate?
Please explain this to
A
her.
skid plate is a car that has 2 skids on the back of it, and it slides around everywhere. And you've got to really be a good driver to drive them. I mean, it's just a fun event.
It's like you're drifting the whole time
Yeah.
because you don't have rear tires. You have skid
No, you
plates
have
back
skid
there.
plates.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
The whole time. Yeah, it's
they
hilarious.
spark?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun. You have to come out and watch. I
Yes.
mean, it's hilarious. And I was just like, when I watched that the first time, I was like, no, I don't think I want to do that at all. I think I just want to get a car with wheels on it.
Yeah. I think it took a good route, but I do love watching them.
Yeah.
Seems like complete chaos.
Yeah, it is
It is.
chaos. I've actually, a couple of my really good friends, we've fundraised and stuff for many years together. And they actually got into skid plate racing, and it's just a fun event for them too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you touched on that, the fundraising. So when I did go to the races, she had a bunch of toys on the hood of her car that she was just giving out to people or like kids in general. And then you also are involved in a lot of charity work. And what foundations do you typically give to?
So the Speedway Children's Charity I'm on the board there, and so I love that charity, and it's something that I will probably always donate to. Another one is Podtastic Friends, which is the dogs.
Oh.
And then I always donate to Buck Bedard Foundation. There was many years ago when we were donating to different charities, and the money wasn't going to the right places. So we actually ventured out, and I'm a big supporter of the UNLV rodeo team, and
awesome.
Miss Rodeo America. So it's just I love donating and helping the community. It's the community that I grew up in. I'm born and raised here, and I'm always going to give back to my community, and that is what's probably really important to me, is giving back to my community.
Yeah, I love that. That's so
Yeah.
important because then it not only inspires a new generation of people, but also it shows in the fact that like, I love that you take the time especially to figure out where your money's going. So
Yeah.
it's going to a good place. It's actually serving the people. And that shows the direct correlation of you to the person that you want to build, like give all the things that you built up a home. You want to give it to a kid that doesn't have a home. You
Yeah.
want to give it to a dog that has been left on the street to die because somebody didn't care about them, because you care. And that's awesome. And it shows in everything that you do, from racing to building these businesses, like, that you care about them and you put your heart into it. So that's not overshadowed. I love that.
And not just donating, like you're actually going out, you're sitting on the board, you know exactly what's going on in these foundations. So that's huge.
Yeah. And it's a really good board. It's a good charity. You know, we've helped a lot of kids. We raised over $500,000 last year, you know.
That's amazing.
And we have a really good board. Everybody on there is a business person, you know, or very, you know, their heart's in it. And it makes it fun, you know, and we're like a family. We're like a friendship. You know, we have a great friendships. And so it's really nice and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And the charity that you guys, or the when you guys raised $500,000, that was for the laps, correct? Like laps for.
No, it was for the whole year, and it
okay.
was for many different events. But then we were able to give it out at the end of the year in December. We give it out to like, I think 35 or 40 different charities. So it was really nice. And we have a great process. We have a grant. You know, you have to give us a grant, and we have a grant review committee. And they go through and check it all out, and then at the end of the year, we'll give it away.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we know exactly where our money's going, and it all stays here locally. It doesn't leave. Whatever money we raise here stays in Las Vegas. So that's the best thing about it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And we have a great director. She's one of the best people I've ever met. She's very passionate about her job, and she makes sure that we do exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, exactly. And you said that it's full of business owners. So you own multiple businesses. How do you balance all these things, from your passions to the business to the charitable organizations? Like, I already feel overwhelmed doing my small things. Like, how do you balance that?
Well, as my husband says, I'm never home.
Yeah.
I'm never home. I'm constantly going every day doing something. You know, you got to do it. I have a great staff at work. I have, you know, my team at work is amazing, and I couldn't do it without them for sure. You know, and my family being very supportive of it.
Yeah. And I always feel like people who have really good teams are also really good leaders. So I feel like if you're not a good leader, your team isn't going to stick around. They're not going to want to do things for you. You're not going to be able to build what you've built. So I think that's a big testament to who you are as a person, also, that you've been able to build a good team to support you in the businesses, and even just people in general, like, build each other up.
Yeah, we have a great team at work, and you know, I have a great team in the racing part of it all. You know, and it is all about your team. So
yeah,
that's
so
couldn't
awesome.
be more grateful today for my team at work. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So okay, how did you get started in this whole business thing?
Just my parents. You know, my parents. I wanted to be a person just like my dad. I wanted to demolish the buildings, but losing my brothers at an early age, and my mom having some medical issues, my dad made me stop driving and come in and learn the business.
Wow.
And so it was then that I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. I felt like it was my duty, because I was the only child left then. And I went in and just started learning it, and you know, it kept growing and growing and growing. And then my parents were able to do what they wanted to do and travel and do different things. So, yeah.
That's amazing. It is easy just to sell a business, you know? So it also, that's awesome that you were able to just keep it going and you had that sense of duty. A lot of people don't have that sense of duty. They're just like, well,
and the drive, you know, when your parents do something and they've done it for so long, sometimes it's just like, man, I saw everything that my parents went through. Why do I want to do all that? Let me just take the easy route out. And you didn't. You took the harder road.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, there's been times in my life, you know, when I didn't do the path I wanted to do, you know, but that's okay, because, you know, my parents gave birth to me. My parents have given me this great life that I live. And, you know, you got to thank them some way. So the only way I know to do it is to take care of them. And, you know, we lost my mom 8 years ago, and still taking care of my dad. But, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, he's what made me who I am today.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you got to do what you got to do.
I love that.
Sheri,
Yeah.
can you share the story that you shared with us about your dad and the limo situation?
Oh, yeah. Oh boy. Well, I was in grade school and I was going to school with my girlfriend. Her dad was a bigwig at Circus, and she would get picked up in a limousine. And I didn't. I came home one day. We were young. I told my dad I wanted to be picked up in a limousine, and he didn't quite like it that I was complaining about what I was getting picked up in, because half the time my dad's workers had to pick me up because my mom and dad were working. And so they'd pick me up in old pickups or whatever, or whatever it could be. But my dad said, fine. And I kept complaining to him about it. And he said, you want to be picked up in something like a limo, huh? I said, yeah, I would. Like, why does she get to get picked up in this fancy car? And he's like, well, that's really not much. It's nothing. I'll pick you up in something tomorrow. So he picked me up in a semi truck loaded to the hilt. And it was probably like 4 times the amount of one limo. And I was so embarrassed.
It's a heck of a limousine.
Yeah. He pulled up in that thing and the whole school had to stop and have a look at what was going on. And I was like, oh my gosh.
He's like rolling smoke as he's coming through, like
I'm just
blasting
like,
everybody. All the kids have black
I was
on
so
them.
embarrassed. He told me, don't you ever complain about what you have or where you come from or what you got, because, you really just don't know what's going on. So,
Yes, exactly.
but yeah, it was fun.
That's an awesome story. I love that.
I learned to not complain fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you tell younger Sheri or teenage Sheri if you could go back in time?
Well, probably that. I don't know if it's what I'd tell her, but if I had any advice for families first, you can't forget your family. I have a beautiful family, and you never know when they're going to be taken from you. I grew up really fast. My brothers died when I was 18 and 19, and it kind of set my pace for what was going to happen to me for the rest of my life, But you have to appreciate people, and you have to have respect for people. And I think that's probably my most thing today, is that I don't like how the younger generations doesn't respect our peers, because we forget where we come from, and not everybody's perfect. You got to just go with what you got. But family be first. I have a very tight-knit family. I have beautiful daughters, and I have wonderful grandchildren. They've got me through the hard times in my life sometimes.
I love that.
Yeah, they are really special to me. And, you just got to appreciate where you come from. And you've got to appreciate every day. You got to be thankful for where you are today. You can't have mistake. You know what I mean? You can't say, I'm sorry I didn't do that, or just keep going and do it.
Yes.
And have fun with it.
Yeah.
And be appreciative of it.
Yeah. What are you most proud of in your kids?
Oh my gosh. I have the greatest girls. I can't even talk about them sometimes because it chokes me up.
Yeah.
But probably that they respect my parents, and they respect their dad and I. They're just great girls. They're wonderful girls. And my grandchildren are all the same. They're respectful. If you're talked to, they talk to you, Just, probably just that they are, and they're living their lives.
Yeah.
They aren't a part of my business at all. They were, but that's probably what I'm most proud of them about, is that they didn't do what I did, and that they went and they're living their lives. They're living their lives. They're there if I need them, and they're going to be there if something ever happens to me, but that they're living their lives.
I love
Because
that.
you got to live your life. You cannot not live your life,
Yes.
That's how you grow.
Yes.
But I'm very proud of them. We are so proud of our girls, all 3 of them. They're just amazing.
Yeah. I think they have a very special person to look up to, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everything that you do, that they have just one of the best examples. So I'm
thank
sure
you.
that if they're a fraction of who you are, that they're going to be just fine.
Thank you. They're good girls.
3 girls and how many grandchildren?
I have 6 grandchildren.
Wow.
I have 5 girls and 1 boy.
Wow.
Yep.
Precious. Are they getting into the speed stuff?
Oh yes, they are. So my oldest granddaughter and 2 of my other granddaughters are into the horse world, and they love that. And then my 3 grandchildren, they are into motorsports. They already got motorcycles. They're already doing their thing. But my daughter raced motorcycles too, so
That is so
yeah,
cool.
they're all into the sports. So yeah,
Raced
Yeah.
motorcycles. What did she race? Like,
she raced dirt bikes. So
that's
yeah.
cool.
That is
Yeah.
so awesome.
she's cool.
Yeah, we need to go ride dirt bikes with her.
Yeah.
She's a badass.
That is so
She's
cool.
kind of calmed down now. She has 3 kids, so
Yeah.
3 under 5. So
Wow.
it's kind of, she had to slow that down. And then my other daughters, all my other grandchildren are into the horse world, so it's been fun watching them grow at that.
I love that. See,
Yeah.
I mean, like you can see it. It's just like there's the example, and then you get to teach these future generations on how to be who you are, and
Yeah.
that's just like going after the things that you want and building better, because every day you know that you can get 1% better, and that compounds over time, and you've done it time and time again, and that's amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So what is your next milestone coming up?
Oh boy, I'm not sure. I'd like to grow the museum more. I'd like to get more people in there to see it. Got a lot of changes coming on next year. Got a new baby coming with my
Ooh.
assistant. Yeah, so I'm
Wow.
excited about that. But I don't know. I don't know where life's going to take me.
You're
Traveling.
open to it.
I'm open, and whatever comes is going to happen. And I like to travel now, so
Awesome.
I've been doing a lot of that. I hope to be more adventurous this next year. I don't know if I could be more adventurous than I've been this year, but I've done a lot of traveling this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
What's been your favorite spot that you've traveled to this year?
Alaska's my favorite place.
And
yeah,
why?
that was recent, yeah?
Yeah, I go there a lot, but I have best friends that live there, and I just love it. It's nature. And Montana, one of my daughters lives in Montana. So, my husband and I hope to do some fun traveling this next year. So he just retired, so.
What's on your bucket list to travel to?
I don't really have a bucket list for travel. I don't.
Anywhere you wanna
wherever it takes
see?
me.
Yeah.
Wherever it takes me.
Wherever the wind blows, Sheri will go. That's awesome. What events do you have coming up?
So I have October 13th is my next event, and that's at the Speedway. It's during NASCAR, so I'm putting on it's called Vegas Large Car Invitational. So there's 50 semis coming from all
Amazing.
around the world, and they're going to be on display at the fan zone. I'm very excited about that.
Is that the third? Is that the one that's the 20th and 21st,
No,
or
that's the
13th?
13th
Okay,
through the
which one is
15th.
the 20th and 21st?
That is Hellcat's Trunk or Treat event.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. That's at the Silverton.
Cool. And then there's another one, November 4th. That's a huge one.
Yeah, that's our annual car show. So yeah.
Yeah. She says our annual car show, but it is the Goldstrom's Classic Car Show at Nostalgia Street Rods. It's going to be a huge event. They take over the whole parking lot with how many vehicles are you allowing?
250. So
Yeah, just 250.
It'll be fun.
Casual 250. Yeah, so we're going to bring a whole girl squad of motorcycles rolling through.
Oh, I can't wait
Yes.
for that. That's going to be fun.
Yes. And I want to set up a date where we go and we visit the museum, just have the girls all get together, ride over and experience that, because I feel like it is a hidden gem. I think more people need to know about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be fun to have all the girls there.
Yeah.
We'll wait till they get there, then you tell us how you feel afterwards. Just kidding. We've got a great group of women in Las Vegas that ride motorcycles, and
That's
it'd be
awesome.
Really, really blessed to have this group. Like it's crazy because it's hard to find people that you're on the same page with, and not only to find people, but to multiply that for like a whole big group.
Yeah.
That's very special, and we have such a great group going on.
amazing group of women that just are all about helping one another and lifting their spirits, and
That's awesome.
no cattiness. But my favorite thing about, we've had drama in the past, but it was something that was so minute that it kind of just, that person disappeared. They just took themselves out of the group because
That's
they
awesome.
didn't fit. So
Yeah.
That's a good thing, because that's really hard when you have a bunch of women. They
Uh-huh.
although there's that same drama in the guy department. Trust me.
Oh yeah. I see it worse with guys, I feel like.
Yeah, I
I
think
do
maybe
too.
so.
Girls can be pretty catty, but for the most part, everybody's like, we get the vibe, right?
Yeah.
It's like we can feel like, okay, not my crowd, cool. Like
Yep.
these are people are more my crowd, and
Yeah.
we can make that.
Yeah. But we have such a good group. I feel like everybody just wants to be a part of it.
Yeah.
There's
cool.
like, no bad vibes. It's just fun.
Yep.
Just fun.
No crazy chaos, just all good vibes, good times, and always looking to support one another. And that's one of the best things about it. I just love watching, one girl opens a business and it's like everybody goes to support it, and then the next girl, she's like got this idea and they're like, well, here's how we did this. Like,
Yep.
Here's the package.
Giving
That's
them
awesome.
the resources. Yeah, everybody's got a connection somewhere. So everybody just piles in and we're like, how can we make your dream happen?
Yeah.
That's the cool part. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
It's definitely different. Very grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
But
That's
yeah.
the way life should be, though.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to help, You find so many times in life where people get jealous of each other, even in the racing thing. But to me, it's so cool to have other girls racing. It's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Like, we got to stick together. Let's
Right.
do it.
Yeah. And I think that's the point of what we're doing with this project is to share these stories and inspire other people to want to get into things that they're really like interested in.
Yeah.
And maybe they find a little bit of fear or hesitation because X, Y, and Z. And then they're like, oh, well, I have a very similar experience. And if she can do it, I can do it,
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to keep it going and extend to everybody in motorsports. So it's really cool that we were able to have you on to kind of be the example for cars, trucks, motorcycles, all of that. You're a culmination of everything that we find so cool.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting to have you on. You're an absolute boss, like literally and figuratively, from your business to racing. And it's inspiring to see all that you do and execute on. We're very grateful. Thank you so much for being on today.
Oh, thank you. You two are very amazing, too. So I enjoyed giving you a tour and meeting you both. And I'm excited to learn more about you guys.
Yeah. We'll have plenty of opportunity to do
Yep.
that.
Definitely excited to go watch you race. I'm stoked
Yeah.
on that. I'm like already trying to think. I'm like, we've got a wedding on the 13th, but I'm like, okay, how can we manage all of it, right? Like, I want to go see you. I want to be there for the wedding.
No, it'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll start next year up, too, in March. So then you can come then if you're too busy at the wedding.
Yeah,
We
for
do
sure.
have a big wedding.
Yeah.
Should be pretty sad if we didn't
You
show up.
you can't miss that.
It's one of our girls, so yeah.
No, you cannot miss that.
We're already talking about wearing dresses on the dry lake bed on our motorcycles.
Very
So we can
cool.
all pull up and be in black dresses when we get there.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a
It's a
sight
whole
to
thing.
see. Yep. So speaking of big events, we want to get into our segment about Red Rock, Harley Davidson, and all the happenings. So take it away, Brandy.
So next up, we have Bike Night on October 26th. Thank you, Kristen. We have Bike Night at Red Rock Harley Davidson. It is going to be the last Bike Night that we have for this year until we get to March of next year. So be sure to check that out. We also have our Hot Cakes Cool Bikes on November 4th.
Yep. Fourth.
November 4th, the first Saturday of November.
Yeah.
So those will be amazing. They're really good events. Then we'll have our Happy Harley Days in the second weekend of December. So
Yeah, December 9th. So if you are tuning into this episode a little bit later, you can still catch December 9th's event, hopefully.
Yes.
If you do swing by the dealership, please do mention Daughters of the Road if you have tuned into the podcast and find inspiration to find your new motorcycle.
Or learn to ride.
Or learn to ride. And that's another big thing is that Sin City Moto Girls also did open up scholarships. There's a scholarship program going on. It is where you submit a video, basically put it on your feed on Instagram or Facebook, and tag Sin City Moto Girls, and you'll be entered for this giveaway every month. Are you doing 2 now?
Every month we're going to give away 2 riding academy classes to a Las Vegas lady that wants to learn to ride or needs to just brushing up her skills.
Yeah. So the Riding Academy course is about $450. So it is a hefty investment for most people. So providing that opportunity is very special to us. And we're really excited to see the submissions and we want to see your journeys. So yeah, tag us in a video.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, let's see. If you want to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, what else we got going on? YouTube. Threads. We hit the threads up now. Please do give it a like, follow, subscribe. We appreciate everybody that tunes into these podcasts, and please share. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Who knows where we'll get into next, but every share means the world to us because we are spreading the message and getting more people excited to fulfill their dreams, and that's the whole point of this. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Daughters of the Road podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Down the road.